Hey, while I get my steps in today, I'm going to be answering some frequently asked questions. So come on. Before I start though, did you know that Tamagotchis are only supposed to live to be like 14? Mine's 45. So, all right, number one, are all your stories true? So my I'll Never Go Back stories, I put a really long caption explaining how these are stories that are typically shared with me from other teachers. Sometimes they're my stories, but at this point, for the most part, I have so many teachers sharing their stories with me, so I turn their stories into these skits to bring their stories to life. And so my I'll Never Go Back series are all based on true events, true stories. I do add my own flair in. Obviously, a lot of what you see me say to the parents or the admin would never come out of my mouth in real life, but it's fun to add that in to these stories. But yeah, basically the core of all of these I'll Never Go Back stories that I share are all true. If it's not a I'll Never Go Back story, it's usually just comes from here. Now, sometimes though, I will put a little thing in the caption, and you'll always find the answer in the caption. So a lot of times I'll say like, inspired by a true story shared with me, or based on a true story shared with me. Sometimes I'll take little nuggets that teachers send with me, like, oh, my students said this one-liner that was so funny, and so I'll make a whole skit around that whole, like one-liner or whatever. And so those will be like inspired by, a true event or true story. But if you don't see it in the caption, I just wrote it. I just made it up based on, like funny things that I saw in classrooms, or just because I think it'd be funny, a funny skit, So yeah, the caption is the tell-all there. So if you're ever like, oh my gosh, is this real? Just look at the caption, you'll know. Next question I get a lot of is, did all of these stories happen to you? And so no, fortunately, I didn't encounter all of these things in my just short 3-year window of teaching. I encountered a lot of things, believe it or not. But no, not all these things. I see a lot of comments, people will be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened to you, or I can't believe you dealt with all these things. So just know, I don't bear all the weight on my back when it comes to all these terrible things. But again, a lot of them are stories shared with me from other teachers. I do still pull, from my own experience for things, but yeah, no, not all me. Another question I get is, how old is Susie? And so sometimes I post videos where Susie is her typical little self, elementary age, and then sometimes I'll use Susie to tell a high school story or a middle school story, or even like a college level story that's shared with me. Susie's just a metaphor. She represents all ages of kids. So anytime I use Susie in a skit, she's just representative of a student, Now, Susie as herself is like 6. I would say she's like a 6-year-old. But just keep in mind, if you ever see a story or a skit, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know Susie was 15. She's not, but she's a metaphor. Another big question I get is, who is Bunker? Bunker is one of my characters that I show. She's got the crazy filter on her face. Bunker is filmed through Snapchat, and I use a filter called Shook. So if you're ever looking for the Bunker filter, just type in Shook and you will find her face. But Bunker is she's a co-teacher. She's Miss Lauder's co-teacher. And she was brought in maybe like not last August, but the August before. So she's been around for a while. And Miss Bunker is so she originally was a teacher. She was an older teacher, like a 5th grade teacher, I think. And she was brought in, the classes were collapsed, and she was brought into Miss Lauder's classroom. So they've teamed up, and they are now teaching together. So anytime you see Bunker and Miss Lauder together, that's kind of like a separate universe, honestly. It's like parallel universes. If you see Miss Lauder by herself, you just know, hey, that's the universe where Miss Lauder is just rocking, doing her thing by herself. If you see Miss Bunker and Miss Louder together. It's just a different universe. So in that universe, they are co-teaching together. Miss Bunker has started out, when she started out, she was the worst. She was the brown noser, just annoying employee, that everyone can't stand. She just has every type of horrible characteristic shoved into one coworker. So, but as she has gone on and developed, some of those things have toned down a little bit, and her character is kind of just, kind of created her own way a little bit. But so Miss Bunker is a co-teacher in a certain universe with Miss Louder. They started out as absolute enemies. They hated each other. It was awful. And then they've kind of grown into maybe like a frenemy type situation. I don't know if you would call it that, but they've definitely grown for each other. Their love, in a way. I don't even know if I'd stretch and say love, but yeah, so that's who Miss Bunker is. She's a co-teacher. That's what she does. And in that same breath, the next question I get is, where did Bunker come from? So originally, around the time Bunker came out, that Snapchat filter had hit the ground running and was popular. People were using it on themselves and so many different things. And my family and I were sending it back and forth to each other often, and every time it made me laugh so hard. I just thought it was the funniest filter. And so at the time I was like, I have got to find a way to incorporate this filter into my videos. And so I had started thinking about, like possibly a new character. And so I was like, okay, I need to bring in this new character. Who do I want it to be? Do I want it to be another part of the admin team? Do I want it to be a parent? Do I want it to be another teacher? And so I settled on another teacher, and she was originally supposed to be this like super sweet, kind teacher, and then it just didn't fit. I had filmed this whole video, and it just didn't fit. So I toyed around with it for a little bit, played with it, and the first video that I filmed and edited, it just came off like it was just an icky vibe. Like, she was so nice, and other people were like freaked out by her, and it just felt like kind of like a bullying vibe, and I didn't like it. So I went back to the drawing board, and and so then Miss Bunker, came alive, and that's where she came from. Just kind of, a lot of tinkering, a lot of filming, trying to figure out how did I want her to be, kind of thing. And she actually started in a I'll Never Go Back video. She just, I threw her into a I'll Never Go Back video, and the story was, that coworker that won't stop raising their hand or asking a question at the end of a staff meeting, just so annoying. And so she was that person for that video. And I didn't really plan on, having her be like a constant, but it was great. People loved her, and so I continued to write skits for her and things, and then she just kind of stayed. So that's where Bunker came from. Last frequently asked question I get is this what you do full time now? So yes, to answer your question, it is. I get to write and film and edit and make these skits, and really it's all because of you. You allow me to do this. And I'm just so thankful that I'm able to pursue this passion as a full-time career. And this is what I do. I went from teaching to I ran a tutoring business full-time, and then I started helping other teachers start and grow tutoring businesses. And while I still do that, I focus mainly on content creation, and that's what I do. That's what I get to do full-time. So just thanks for being here. Thanks for letting me do this and for being a part of this community. And if you have any other questions I can answer, drop them below, and I will take some time out to do another one of these. So see you later. Bye. That was a little bit of Bunker there at the end. If you don't know Bunker, I'm sorry. That was really embarrassing. Okay, bye.